All right, y'all. I'm back. So let's start this trial, I guess. Why the hell not? That was a long investigation compared to what we've seen before. So yeah. I can only imagine how the trial's gonna go. Let's get this started. October 23rd, 8:52 a.m., the Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. I can't believe it's been 6 months since I was last allowed to work in court. And now here I am back at the Old Bailey. Ah, Mr. Naruhodo! Good morning, Professor Hairbrain. I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. The atmospheric pressure in here is off the charts. I've never felt anything like it. It's crushing me. I feel it every time I'm here with that gravity. Well, this is Britain's highest court. But are you telling me it's fitted with some kind of device that can actually control air pressure? I think it's probably all in the mind. Yes, well, you won't let me down, will you, Mr. Naruhodo? I'm counting on you in today's trial to save my life. To save the secret of my super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine from being made public. Yes, I understand. I know what I have to do. I have to establish the explosion 2 days ago was nothing more than an unfortunate accident. Well, I'm sure there's nothing to worry about, really. Justice will prevail. My commiserations, Mr. Naruhodo. You appear to have been lumbered with the most tiresome case here. Yep, I know it. Mr. Sholmes, I didn't expect to see you here. That was very mean, Bruno, leaving me at home alone with Hurley. It took me at least an hour to wake him. Are you Sherlock Sholmes? Indeed, sir, I am he, and he is I. Sherlock Sholmes. Oh, I've heard all about your exploits, even whilst living in Germany. Ah, yes, Rand's magazine is on sale in Germany too. This month's installment was sublime. Your introduction in the adventure of Silver Blaze was wonderful. Ah, yes, a memorable case indeed. It concerned a snake, I seem to recall. No, that was a speckled band. Well, thank you for coming. I do appreciate your support. I'm sorry to disappoint you, my dear fellow, but I'm afraid I can't stay. Oh, I have urgent business at Madame Dispel's. You mean your waxwork job? No, the waxwork abduction, of course. Madame has engaged my services. Ah, so you're trying to get to the bottom of that ransom note, are you? A week's wages depend on it, as does the safe return of the waxwork, naturally. As such, I intend to give it my undivided attention. Oh, well, never mind then, I understand. Of course, with my skills of observation and reasoning, resolving the matter will be as easy as proverbial pie. I shall return forthwith. But until I solve the case, I shall have no money to afford a pie of any description. Oh, you must absolutely give it your full attention, Hurley. Quite, Iris, quite. But life is riddled with irony, you know. Whenever I give something my full attention, I have quite insatiable desire for a pie. One of the universe's intractable mysteries, you might say. I love this man. Oh yes, quite. And absolutely, I totally understand. I'm a little starstruck. I wish you the very best of luck, Mr. Hairbrain. Why, thank you. Before I depart, Mr. Naruhodo, a word in your ear, if you please. What's this about? As you're remarkably little grounding in science, I feel I ought to inform you. As compelling as the super high voltage instantaneous kinesis hypothesis may be, a practical implementation, such as was attempted by the professor at the Great Exhibition, is quite impossible. But the professor said the demonstration was a success? Yes, it would appear that he fervently believes it was. I've read Professor Bunnybrain's paper about it too, Bruno, and I have to say, I'm sure it can't be done. It could barely be done theoretically, let alone practically. It was completely barking up the wrong tree. But how can an experiment have no possibility of succeeding, in fact succeed? That's contradictory. Well, no. There are cases where events with zero probability can technically happen, but it's based on the sample size of possible events that could happen. So you would need an infinite set of events that are possible. One example of this is, take height, for example, right? So we're all in a height range from like 0 feet to say 10 feet. And technically, even if we're both say if we're both 6'4", I'm not 6'4", but you know. If two people are 6'4", there's technically little minute differences between them. So like this 4 feet and a half, 6'4" and a half, 6'4" and a quarter, so on and so forth, infinitely many of those. So there's technically infinite heights that a person can be, and therefore, you being the height you are is technically a 0 probability event. If you go to enough, if you go to an infinite amount of decimal places. And it's that contradiction that will be the heart of the trial, I've no doubt. What's that supposed to mean? I know what it means. Now, I must hurry along. I wish you the best of luck, my dear fellow. See you later, Hurley. Adieu. Well, it looks like you're on your own today, Bruno, but chin up, you can do it. Oh, what about you, Iris? Oh no, I'm afraid I can't help. I have something I need to do. I see. It's going to be a big surprise for you when you find out what it is. That sounds ominous. Counsel for the defense and the defendant. Court is about to be in session. Make your way into the courtroom at once. We're on our way. I'm on my way. I'm on my way. An experiment that the laws of science say can't possibly succeed. And a scientist is invented it. So, by the way, what I'm saying does not mean that this could have potentially succeeded. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying that I'm being pedantic about it, I guess. That's the riddle you have to unlock, Ariunosuke. That's the key to this case.
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. We are sitting today for the public trial of Professor Albert Harebrained. I now call upon the counsel for the defense and prosecution to declare their willingness to proceed.
The prosecution is ready. The defense is ready, my lord. I'm 6 months out of practice, and what's more, I'm with Satsuzato-san today. Ugh. Is it just my imagination, or does the air in here feel even more oppressive than usual?
So, I must say I recollect the victim of this case all too well, Mr. Odie Asman.
Mr. Asman was well known as a financier, though that was merely a front for his diverse criminal activities.
It was only a month ago that the man appeared in court prosecuted by you, Lord Van Zieks, but the jury unanimously found him not guilty.
Because every member of the jury had been bribed by the sound of it. Those powerful London criminals are prepared to go to extreme lengths to keep their freedom.
2 days ago, on 21st October, Mr. Asman met his end. The work of the Reaper, was it?
If that is how your lordship was described divine retribution, but the fact remained that Mr. Asman's death was a direct result of the actions of the accused, Professor Harebrained.
Very well then. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have been selected at random to represent the will of the people.
Oh, it's gonna be like, how many repeats are there?
Are the 6 of you ready to fulfill your societal duty?
Oh, you're new.
I'm most gratified to have been selected to carry out this important duty, my lord.
Oh, you're new too. Have a man's fate in the palm of one's hand. Oh gosh, oh golly, it sends shivers down my spine.
Science experiments, magic, conjuring tricks, courtroom trials, all are nothing more than performances. Any spurious scholar that defiles the reputation of science deserves to hang.
We have to listen to what's said on both sides of the fence and, then settle on one. That's it. Ain't it? Isn't he wait, oh my god, he's the cop that was...
Wasn't like this my day, wasn't like it at all.
That's the police killer Automole lookalike. Again. And he's exhausted as ever, it seems.
Now, as I'm sure you're all aware, the incident we are here to judge today tragically took place at the Great Exhibition shortly after its opening.
Angel Garan, interesting. I could probably see that the death toll could have been far worse. With the exception of the victim, no one was killed. Nevertheless, the dream of science being exhibited rapidly turned into a nightmare for the spectators.
A tragic turn of events, and as such the eyes of all London, no, of the whole world, will be on this trial. It is our duty to reach a swift and just conclusion, I feel.
But that ain't gonna happen, bud.
So, your opening statement, please, Lord Van Zieks.
Why do I have a feeling Lord Van Zieks isn't gonna be the prosecutor in the last case and it's gonna be the masked man? At the heart of this incident is technology never before demonstrated anywhere in this world.
One of science's latest developments, I take it. The government is keen to capitalize on the Great Exhibition to improve Britain's technological advantage.
Technology being demonstrated by the accused was described as super high voltage instantaneous kinesis.
Good lord.
It's designed to disassemble human subjects using extremely high voltage electricity and beam them instantly to another location where they are subsequently reassembled.
Is such a thing even within the realms of possibility? Well, I don't believe it, that's for sure.
Disassembling people with electricity? My goodness, how shocking.
Huh, the whole idea is absurd. The hypothesis will never stand up to scrutiny. I believe you are a fellow of the Royal Society, are you not? An expert in your field? I am, and my word on the matter can be considered final. Instantaneous kinesis is poppycock.
So this expert Mr. Sholmes are in agreement. It's impossible.
What is the prosecution's view on the matter?
The prosecution would assert that the accused instantaneous kinesis demonstration was a success. What?
What rot?
What?
Order, order.
The professor's hypothesis is currently under investigation by the British government. If it is deemed to have merit, a substantial research grant will be made available. The accused made use of the invention built on his new hypothesis to take Mr. Aspen's life, in order to be the sole benefactor of the grant. But... This disastrous demonstration was no accident. It was carefully designed from the outset to end the life of the victim.
Thank you, Lord Van Zieks. The prosecution's stance is clear. But you will now bring forth witnesses to substantiate your claims.
Gladly, my lord.
Bailiff,
Show the first witnesses to the stand. Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court. Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector at Scotland Yard's Homicide Division. I was on duty at the demonstration on the day in question and was in charge of the following investigation. Albert Harebrain, scientist. You were born in England but have been carrying out research in Germany in recent years, correct? Yes, that's right. After graduating from the university here in Britain, went to work in Germany and made an amazing discovery, which is what brought me back and to demonstrate my incredible hypothesis at the greatest exhibition.
What you demonstrated was incredible, alright. An incredible explosion.
But the science was a success. The instantaneous kinesis worked. Everyone saw it. They must have done. Yes, there was a terrible accident, but the demonstration of my hypothesis was a success. Well, that much is undeniable, as for shown in this photograph taken by the forensic investigation team.
This was taken inside the Crystal Tower, I take it, the centerpiece of the exhibition, no less.
That's right, my lord. It seemed the victim rammed straight into it.
I see.
Yeah, that did happen.
Very well, submit the photograph as evidence.
As the courts heard, the victim of the incident was Mr. Odie Asman. There have been a number of allegations made against the man, but put them aside for the time being. Who was the man who financed the research for the experiment and the demonstration itself?
I see, so to summarize the situation, the defendant is accused of taking the life of the man who funded his work. Would that be correct?
Exactly. But couldn't it be that the explosion was caused by some malfunction in the apparatus used for the demonstration?
That's right, that must be it. My splendid machine, my poor splendid machine.
You saw it yesterday, didn't you? We can't even examine the records thanks to the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act.
What? The wreckage, the wreckage.
I sound like a parrot.
That being the case, how can the facts be established? How can it possibly be determined whether this was an accident or a deliberate and malicious act?
Extremely simply, my lord.
I beg your pardon?
Isn't that right, witness?
What? Sorry, me.
No, your neighbor. Yes, sir. It was murder, plain and simple. Anyone could state that with complete certainty. What? How could I possibly think that?
Thank you, Inspector. I think we had better proceed to formal testimony. You will explain to the court on what grounds you claim this experiment to have been a formal front for murder.
The corpse that went crashing through the Great Crystal Tower had a broken neck.
I made a minor miscalculation in the angle of the beam projection, that's all. That was my mistake.
But the post-mortem examination revealed another injury, a fatal wound. There was a lesion in his chest where he'd clearly been stabbed by something sharp right in the heart. The victim was killed before he went anywhere, and this fella's the only one who could have done it. What?
Extraordinary business. In addition to suffering a broken neck, the victim was stabbed in the heart.
Information I would really like to have heard from someone other than the judge. The coroner says death would have been all but instant from a wound like that. You could say, in fact, that the victim was killed twice by the accused.
No, that couldn't be further from the truth.
I have here the experiment plan document that was submitted to the security team. The victim stood himself inside something called the birdcage, ready to be beamed instantly. To the second level of the Crystal Tower, at 25 yards away. The experiment did not go according to plan, however. As the machine was put into operation, there was a large explosion. The blast caused the beam transmitter to point higher than intended. Accordingly, the kinesis resulted in the birdcage materializing in midair, from where it subsequently fell, crashing through the glass of the Crystal Tower's large round window. What is happening?
My word, one assumes the victim's neck was broken upon impact with the tower, then.
I'm so sorry, I didn't mean for this to happen. The machine was just too powerful. Honestly, really, I swear, it was just an accident. A terrible accident.
Unfortunately, that excuse can't save you. No, not considering the sharp murder weapon that pierced the victim's heart.
A murder weapon? What are you saying?
This is the autopsy report submitted by the coroner. The prosecution would like it entered into the court record.
Your request is granted, counsel.
The autopsy report has been submitted. Yeah.
I was there in person, you know. I saw the whole ludicrous performance, and the only other person on stage with Mr. Asman was that disgraceful excuse for a scientist.
And really, by all accounts, it must have been him.
How can you be a juror when you're a witness? Hard to think otherwise, really. Hard to think otherwise, really. Very well, counsel for the defense, proceed with the cross-examination, please.
Oh yes, my lord. I need to focus here. It's been a while.
Hold it!
Press? Are you suggesting this because he fell from a considerable height? Exactly, which highlights something else about this whole room business. What's that? The fact that the instantaneous kinesis itself was a success.
Ah!
After the explosion, the cage with the fella inside suddenly appeared out of nowhere midair.
So although the experiment incident and disaster, the so-called instantaneous kinesis did actually occur.
Remind us, Professor, what was the cause of the fatal disaster?
I'm
Okay.
Hold it!
So the angle of projection is critical, is it? And you calculated yourself personally?
absolutely. The calculation is far too complicated for anybody but me to carry out.
Only you got it wrong, didn't you?
Yes, that's right. That's the point. The calculation was so complicated, even I could make a mistake.
Do people fall for that brazen confidence? I should try it.
I took into account the subject's height and weight, the wind direction, the ambient temperature. I considered every possible variable, so I don't understand how this could have happened.
Obviously, then, you had to include the weight of the clothes Mr. Asmund was wearing at the time, I suppose.
Ah. Crap on comments. The answer should have been 3.
So much for safety first. 3 must be for safety third. Oh my god, really?
Hold it!
Another fatal injury, you said? That doesn't make any sense. I didn't think I'd have to spell this out, but here we go. Just because there were 2 fatal wounds doesn't mean that I'm saying the victim had 2 lives to lose, does it? 2, right. Obviously, at first, we thought the bloke had died due to him spine snapping in half as well. But you're saying that's not the case? That's such a terrible way to go. You'll get your answer once I finish my fish and chips, if you don't keep butting in every few seconds. We all know that's a bottomless bag. The victim plummeted 30 feet into a glass tower. It would be reasonable to assume that is the cause of death. Right, that's what we all thought, but it was a red herring, wasn't it? There was a... oh, okay. What about the lesion? The defense knew nothing of this crucial information. The prosecution received this report from the forensic investigation team only this morning. That was the first we knew of it as well. I can only apologize for the impossibility of informing the defense. Sarcastic and insincere? Thank. Oh, he's pulling up his armband that's not there. Oh my god. The costume. So what was the nature of the sharp object? Among the accused tools that were in use at the demonstration, one is of particular interest. This.
Ah, yes, that would appear.
Aha! There he is. My trusty little companion, Andrew.
Andrew? Of course.
Ah, do you know each other already? He's one of my dear friends, like all my tools. I've named them all, you know. We're one big happy family. Andrew is my favorite flathead screwdriver-inator, of course. His brother Michael is a crosshead-inator.
Well, it would appear your beloved Andrew has a red stain on his shank.
Ah, that isn't... It's blood, beyond all reasonable doubt. No. And that's not all. The long, sharp shape of this Andrew fella is completely consistent with the victim's wound.
Wow. What?
Order, order. The court will enter this friend of the defendant as evidence.
So one of Professor Harebrain's tools is the murder weapon. Great. So the victim was okay.
Hold it!
What grounds do you have for saying that? Ah, dearly to ask. There were only 2 people on the public experimentation stage in front of the whole crowd. The victim, Mr. Odiaz, and the accused, Professor Harebrain. And we know that for certain before the experiment, the victim was alive.
That's right. I saw him with my own eyes.
Furthermore, following the explosion and kinesis, nobody went anywhere near the body.
Great Scott!
Great Scott, Marty.
Excuse me!
Professor Harebrain, do you have some information that may be relevant here? Professor.
Ah, sorry. I was just calculating the optimum coefficient of electrolysis to separate molecules in the human body.
And the witness stand is the best place for that? It seemed as though you might have something to say about Inspector Gregson's last remark.
Yes, that's right. Of course. He just said that nobody else could have done it, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right. Who else could have stabbed the victim?
I don't know, but there's no way that I could have possibly stabbed Mr. Asmund, as you say.
Yeah? Explain, please, Professor.
Of course, this cold-hearted policeman may not be aware, I suppose. But humans are warm-blooded mammals with blood running continuously through their veins.
I had heard.
And surely you see, if I plunged something the size of Andrew into the man's chest, the whole stage would have been a bloodbath, no, a blood swimming pool.
Ah,
But thousands of Londoners were watching me at the time. And yet not one of them claims to have seen a swimming pool of blood.
well, no. I suppose not.
You see? Not one.
True, I didn't see anything like that.
Well done, Professor. That was a great counter-argument. Isn't that your job, Ryu?
Order, order.
1. Pray forgive the discourtesy if I savor a drop from my hallowed chalice to accompany my old friends a-deucing. Here's to you, Albert.
Oh, you're too kind, Barack, but I'm really not a patch on you.
No, you're not. No?
No?
You've neglected to mention one crucial possibility.
I have?
A particular situation in which very little bleeding would result from a stab wound. Ah, of course. Inspector, enlighten the court, please. Yes, sir. Where are they going with this?
Very well, you will amend your formal testimony now, Inspector Gregson.
That doesn't seem right. Because, like, and I think it's this that I have to...
Objection!
No, it's not this. Okay.
Hold it!
Why would you think that, Inspector? With any wound, it's only when you pull the weapon out that profuse bleeding occurs. Well, it's still lodged in the body. It acts as a stopper of sorts, for want of a better word. Then why was it found on the platform? You don't need a medical degree to be aware of this fact. It's common knowledge for any investigator. Ugh, where's Suzato-san when you need her? If you ask me, this bloke masked what he was doing from view with his body before stabbing Asmund in the chest. Then he beamed the victim off the stage with his fancy device, the screwdriver where he still planted it.
I would never do such thing. That's my precious tools. I would never use them for such dirty work. You only use tools for their intended purpose. That's common knowledge for any scientist.
The fact remains the lack of blood at the scene can easily be explained, as the prosecution has demonstrated. Oh, thank you. Mr. Asmund, no doubt, yeah.
Objection!
There's so little banter, it's kind of fun. Interesting. You say that while the weapon remains in the body, there's very little bleeding. Is that unequivocal? Look, there was no blood on the experimentation stage, even though that's where the fellow was stabbed. The only explanation for that is if the screwdriver was still in his body, stopping any heavy bleeding. It's common medical knowledge, my learned friend, even on your side of the world. Yes, but about this screwdriver. The thing is, we actually saw it at the scene ourselves, on the experimentation stage. What? It was on the floor by the wreckage of the machine, poking through a metal grill. I went to pick it up, but the detective here stopped me. Isn't that right, Inspector Gregson? Ah, well, now that you come to mention it, yes. Inspector, are we to understand that you permitted the Defense Council to investigate? That you contravene the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act? Eh? No, not at all. I wouldn't do that. I just let him look, nothing more. I was very clear he wasn't a such thing. Yes, that's true. The screwdriver was in plain sight on the stage. But it shouldn't have been, should it? What are you getting at? If this tool had been in the victim's body when the victim was beamed away by the machine, then it shouldn't have still been on the stage. Ah. That's right, it should have been beamed across to the Crystal Tower along with Mr. Aspen, and been found still lodged in the victim's chest.
Ugh.
Oh, Greggy. Oh, Greggy. You're trying so hard.
Order, order. How do you explain this, Inspector?
I don't. Looks as though everything that the victim had on his person moved with him when he was beamed. If the screwdriver was still in his chest when the instantaneous kinesis occurred, obviously that should have been beamed to the destination as well.
You...
It's a strange situation, even though people are saying that instantaneous kinesis is a scientific impossibility. We're still basing arguments on the assumption that it actually did take place. That is weird, yeah. Time to tighten the screws here. My lord, if the prosecution is unable to explain this inconsistency in its argument, we can only conclude that the testimony given in this support cannot be relied upon. Lord Van Zieks is stumped. Oh, he does sound like Doofenshmirtz.
You have something to say, witness?
Yes, I knew it. It bears out. The equations hold. Mr. Naruhodo, don't worry.
About what?
Without delving into the details, there's no inconsistency.
What?
Even if Andrew had been lodged in Mr. Aspen's chest, my trusty tool wouldn't have moved. And the remaining on stage is consistent with my calculations.
What? What? That didn't help you. To seem your illusions have been shattered. Clearly, we should hear the accused's explanation. Or should I say, this brilliant scientist's explanation? This one I found an inconsistency in the prosecution's argument. Scientists. I know. Oh, there's a little bit of a frame droppage going on. I don't know when that was, though. Let me see. Lagged frames. Okay, not dropped, I guess. Very well, the defense will testify again. Provide us with a scientific explanation as to why the inconsistency asserted by the defense fails to hold.
In the name of Apollo, I will, my lord.
Good frame size, cool.
To be clear, I'm still at the stage of gathering data in my research. My hypothesis states that kinesis cannot be transport metal, though. Hence the metal weapon would have stayed put. In other words, the point raised by Mr. Naruhodo isn't an inconsistency at all. Mr. Aspen was the patron of my research. Without him, my work wouldn't have been possible. Now I have a duty to protect the incredible machine that we built together.
Why would you do that, my dude? So, the thrust of your testimony, Professor, is that based upon his hypothesis, metal objects cannot be moved by this method of instantaneous kinesis. In other words, since the screwdriver is made of metal, even if it remained lodged in the victim's chest, its subsequent discovery on the stage, despite the victim being found elsewhere, is not an inconsistency.
And therefore,
Professor Albert Harebrain could still have been the killer.
My great hypothesis holds, you see. We had to make that cage used to contain the subject from wood for that very reason.
I was not addressing you, witness.
Professor Harebrain,
Yes?
whose side are you on here?
I don't take sides, Mr. Naruhodo. No. My only interest lies in upholding my hypothesis. I'm a scientist, after all.
Great. Is he working for us or against us? It's very hard to tell. Let's see how you cross-examine this testimony, my Nipponese friend.
Yes, fire away, Mr. Naruhodo. Witness testimony.
I don't think he's that bad. A little goofy. Wasn't there other metal on the body, though? There had to have been. That couldn't have been the only metal thing he had. His glasses, yeah, duh.
Yeah, I don't think he's that bad.
Objection!
I think he's kind of fun. Professor Harebrained, you say that according to your hypothesis, nothing made of metal can be beamed by instantaneous kinesis using the machine you made. Is that right? Yes, that's right. Spot on. Exactly correct. In that case, I'd ask you to have a look at this.
Look at this photograph.
I'm just taking to see. In particular, I'd like you to pay attention to the victim's face. You can clearly see that Mr. Aspen is wearing a pair of spectacles with a metal. But with a metal rim. He himself has never had the whole premise of this trial. Got a game over like that. Metal? No! We've already established that the proposed murder weapon, the screwdriver, was found on stage. However, if your hypothesis correctly predicted that outcome, it should have also predicted that the metal rim spectacles would be found in the same place. Ah! My hypothesis! My hypothesis! Professor Harebrained, this isn't easy for me to say, but your hypothesis is clearly flawed. Huh?
Order, Council. What is the implication of this?
If on the day in question, the alleged instantaneous kinesis never actually took place, then it's entirely possible that the victim was killed somewhere other than on the stage. And in that case, someone other than the defendant could have been the culprit. But my hypothesis is sound. I proved it that day. The experiment was a success. The experiment was proof that of all my work.
If I could say something here, in my capacity as a fellow of the World Society.
Yes, sir, number 4, go ahead.
As a man of science, there's one thing I simply cannot abide. And it's a fraud who pretends to be a fellow man of science.
What? Wait, great Scott, are you suggesting my science is suspect?
It's just been disproved, hasn't it, in front of all of us? In other words, this whole demonstration is complete nonsense from start to finish. Believe me, my fellow Joes, when I tell you this man is a hero, a bounder, and a fraud. I say the records of that machine should be stripped down and thoroughly examined.
No, never. That machine's the essence of my entire hypothesis. It's protected by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act.
What the devil did that blazing act all about? Who made us such a dark rule?
I don't like the way this seems to be going. What's the best way for me to help protect?
Objection!
Professor Harebrained has yet to perfect his invention. That would seem to be the case, yes. But even so what? Going to such trouble and expense to create a fake machine to display in public. He would have absolutely no reason to do such. No, he's gonna say it's because of the money. He had an obvious reason to do exactly that. The research grant money. Ah.
If the government was foolish enough to ordain this ridiculous imagination possible, he and his conspirators would have received a handsome sum indeed.
Conspirators? What would be the value of such a grant? £10?
They're an order of magnitude out, madam. £500 a year.
Oh, you can live handsome on. You can live handsome on that much for years. You could live handsome on that much for years. Why is there a literal child in the jury? I don't understand.
The society noticed an increase in bogus public demonstrations in the field of science this Sunday.
And plenty of scientists argue with each other to get the largest slice of the funding cake. People's greed is plenty big enough for murder, I assure you. No, I haven't deceived anyone, least of all the government. My hypothesis is sound, the science is sound. Please, you must believe me. No matter how unbelievable this hypothesis may seem to you, ladies and gentlemen, the fact remains that the victim was transported instantly to the Crystal Tower. Which means that the experiment was a success. Ah, Barack! And therefore, the only person who could possibly have committed the murder is the accused. Ah, Barack. Where is this heading? I have no idea. My lord, if I may.
Yes, Lord Banzix.
The prosecution would like to summon new witnesses to the stand.
New witnesses? What would be the nature of them? Well,
they were spectators of the demonstration at the exhibition who were occupying special seats. Eyewitnesses?
very well. The court grants the prosecution's request. I should very much like to hear from the eyewitnesses to the incident.
Prosecution's stance is clear. The experiment was no postiche. The accused killed the financier victim there on the public stage before the eyes of the very eyes of the spectators. Now, my learned friend,
Oh, yes? It's time for you to make your own stance clear. There's clearly a flaw in the professor's hypothesis. I can definitely see that. Where does that leave me?
We shall take
A recess? What? Okay. New witness. As you wish, my lord.
Good. In that case, court is adjourned for 20 minutes. And the 20-minute recess will actually have more dialogue than the hour-long recess will, because that's how this game works.
That's a really quick to be continued. It's only been like 34 minutes. $10:44, the Old Bailey, defend attention.
Mr. Naruhodo, what on earth were you playing at just now? Or rather, what on earth were you playing at all along? My hypothesis, my basic hypothesis. You've been kicking holes in it from the start.
Sorry about that.
But you promised me. You said you proved that the Drated explosion was an accident, not murder. You said you'd keep my precious invention from falling into anyone else's hands. All you've done so far is trying to undermine me.
Yes, I did make you a promise, you're right. I said that I believe in you and fight for your freedom till the very end, but I also told you I was no scientist. I don't understand your hypothesis. The fact is, there's an undeniable flaw in your logic, isn't there?
But if I just run through some equations, yes, you see, it's because my work is incomplete.
Perhaps it is, nevertheless. A man died as a consequence, didn't he?
Oh no! You're right. Oh, right. It's all my fault. Ever since the day I was born, when both of my parents failed to show up. And I have no right to blame you for my failures. I'm a disaster, not just as a scientist, but as a human being.
Well, that might be a little over the top.
And while we're on the subject, what about Barack? He's being awful.
Claiming his old university friend to be a murderer again?
He's a disaster, not as a prosecutor, but as a human being. Oh, but no, wait, he's the Reaper, isn't he? Perhaps he's not classified as Homo sapiens anymore?
Glad that's cleared up.
I was raised by ocelots. I was a garden gnome. My best friend was a balloon. Balloony.
Love some water. Can I double check on something with you?
Yes? What?
The machine and the demonstration you prepared, they were based entirely on your hypothesis, I presume? There was no trickery involved?
I drew the plans for the machine with my very own hands. Every line was painstakingly drawn with the firm belief that science is the only future. For yes, it's true that my hypothesis hasn't reached maturity yet, but please, Mr. Naruhodo, you must believe in it.
I really don't. Alright, Professor, I understand.
Also, defendant.
Mm-hmm. Make your way, All hinges on that demonstration. For the professor's hypothesis is as sound as he claims. It leaves him as the only person who could have possibly killed the victim. On the other hand, Mr. Schultz is adamant. A practical implementation, such as was attempted by the professor at the Great Exhibition, is quite impossible. So really, what should I be trying to prove here? Old Bailey courtroom.
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby reconvene the proceedings of this court. Counsels to the defense and prosecution, are you ready for the new witnesses to testify?
Prosecution is ready, my lord. As is the defense, my lord.
Oh, Lord Vanzix, I believe these next witnesses saw the demonstration on the day in question with their own eyes.
Indeed they did. As luck would have it, one of them is a police detective. The testimony we are about to hear can be considered highly reliable. Perfect, a detective of all people. Prosecution's stance remains unchanged. Though it ended in tragedy, the demonstration on the day in question was scientifically sound, and consequently, sole person with the opportunity to have committed the murder is the only other individual to be present on the stage at the time, the accused.
Thank you, counsel. The prosecution's position is clear. So bring forth your witnesses now.
Bailiff, show the witnesses in. The witnesses whose proximity to the incident on the day in question will clarify the truth unequivocally. What on earth? Oh, I knew Gina was going to be up here. What? Who are these two? Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court to hear. My name is Balthazar Loon. I am the impresario of all the hot air balloons in the vicinity of the Esperimento stage. My name is Wilhelm Gottsweig Sigismund Ormstein. I have come to see the great exhibition all the way from my home in Bohemia. I'm very rich. Inspector Gina Lestrade, Scotland Yard. I'm a great detective. Even Erlock Sholmes agrees. I was on security duty at the exhibition. I got to go up in one of them balloons. It was amazing. Gina, again. But she did mention that she's seen the disaster for up in a balloon, actually, didn't she? And she clearly loved every minute of it. It makes me so happy to see Gina so happy. I can't get over it. There were 3 balloons flying near the public experimentation stage when the incident occurred. 2 of these witnesses were in one such balloon at the time and saw events unfold from the skies above. You make it sound like they were in the clouds. It was only an altitude of circa 60 feet. Very low. Well, you can't see nothing if you fly too high, can you? 60 feet, about 18 meters then. Yeah, honestly, Gina's living her best life.
Thank you for your introduction. I will give you a formal testimony for the court. Kindly describe exactly what you witnessed, especially those of you who had a vantage point above the stage.
Kind of freaks me out. It was an incidente terrible. I am only grateful that my balloons were not damaged. There's this huge bang from the stage, and the next second, another bang in the sky beside us. And from amidst the smoke, a cage appeared out of nowhere. The cage, it fell from the sky like a stone, and it crashed into the crystal tower. Can't do that voice and Italian at the same time, so I didn't get a good look inside the cage, but no one went near it after it crashed into the tower.
Most extraordinary collective account, I must say.
Could I just clarify something? There's a detail in the witness's testimony that I've not heard any mention of until now. Specifically that there were 2 explosions? More precisely, 2 explosions in 2 separate places, yes. When the demonstration began, the balloon carrying the 2 witnesses was around here. There were 2 other balloons. There were other balloons in the sky in the air nearby at the time, carrying other passengers as well, to be clear. Then, as power was supplied into the machine for the demonstration, the first explosion occurred. The so-called bird cage that contained the victim disappeared from the stage, and a moment later, the second explosion occurred on that poor 3rd balloon, directly adjacent to the balloon carrying the witnesses. The bird cage appeared at the side of the explosion, subsequently to plummet down into the crystal tower. I was very surprised. Suddenly a cage appeared before my eyes with a person inside. The blast was so hot, I didn't want to miss a thing, so I kept my eyes wide. God, I'm not... This is not German. I don't know what this... I sound like Bjork. Rock my baby on the treetop. When the wind blows, I still have lots of money. How old is this child? Bohemian boy. His real name is Wilhelm Gottsweig Sigismund Ormstein. Balthazar Lune. Esmeralda Tusveld. He's gonna testify or something. I don't know what's going on there.
Precisely, who is this curious infant?
I'm told he's a young noble of Bohemian royalty. Apparently he disguised himself in order to steal unnoticed at the Great Exhibition. Yeah, I am here in London on a sightseeing trip with my elementary school. We will have the benefit of a child's point of view in the testimony. Do we really need that? Then I remove my mask, because this is what I look like. Ah, yes, I see. A delightful face, I'm sure. Yeah, everybody says so. Great disguise, then. The point is, the testimony of these witnesses further substantiates the facts for the court. Namely, that despite ending in an explosion, instantaneous kinesis was successfully demonstrated. And furthermore, that until the arrival of the police, no one approached the Crystal Tower with victim fell. Therefore, only the accused who was with Mr. Asman on the stage could have possibly committed the murder.
Yes, thank you, counsel. The prosecution views on the matter are quite clear. The defense's cross-examination now, please.
Yes, my lord. Yeah, incidente terrible.
Hold it!
There were 3 balloons, yes. Si, all 3 of them, my bellissimi bambini. They are very popular, signor. Some people will pay £10 for one ride. £10? That's more than my annual stipend. £20 a month. That is my pocket money. Royals have all the luck. But up there for free, I did play the old I work for Her Majesty's Police Cardinal. Detectives have all the luck. If they're so popular, why would you only be operating such a small number of balloons, though? Because if I have too many in the sky, so they could crash into each other. The operators for both the balloons, were decided by lots, with each operator manning a particular area. See, and the zone above the public experimentation stage is the most profitable. The other impresarios, they hate me.
Thank you, witness. I think the court has a clear picture of the arrangements for the balloon rides at the exhibition. Perhaps we could hear more about what you actually witnessed of the incident.
Right, I can fill you in there, my lord.
Hold it!
So you actually saw the accident happen from up in the air? Yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody is what I was thinking too. Yep, isn't it amazing what a detective gets to do, eh? I'm telling you, Otto, being a lawyer's a mug's game. You should join the force and we can all fly in together. You know me so well. Yes, well, anyway, could you tell us exactly what you saw, do you think? Everything! We saw everything, because we were up there above it all. That dodgy cove climbing into that cage, and that dodgy professor pulling all them levers. And that's when it happened. That's when there was that massive bang and the cage just disappeared, like that.
You are describing the moment the subject's body was decomposed by the electricity, I believe.
I didn't know what to make of it, but then there was another bang, right in the ear. I looked around.
That's Peter.
There was a huge, great fireball right next to us in the sky, and there was nothing there before.
Excuse me.
Child is terrifying. It's like Mallow from Master Gods. Does your memory of the day differ? My teacher at elementary school said that when you meet someone for the first time, you should always use their full name. Yes, what was it again? Wilhelm Gottfried Sigismund Ornstein. Just the 4 names then? The point is, do you have something to say? Something to add in response to Detective Gino Lestrade's last remark? Perhaps get it right, Otto. Otto, it's Inspector Lestrade. Why does everyone have a problem with how I address them at the moment? That is not what I saw. Oh. Yeah, there was a second explosion and it was right beside our balloon. That is true. But I'm sure. Which is what I said, innit? One minute there was nothing there and the next a massive explosion. My teacher at elementary school said is that when someone is speaking, if you are rude enough to interrupt, you will have the most awful life imaginable. Are all Bohemians brought up to be so full of joy? Just before the second explosion happened next to our balloon, I clearly witnessed a green balloon flying in the sky. A green balloon? Eh? You what? I never saw nothing like that. Well, I did. I saw it. And you can't say I didn't. I will complain to the consul. I will cry and scream. My testimony is the truth. I am Bohemian Prince. You cannot say it's a lie. That is not allowed. Playing the bleeding royalty card, are you? Typical. Says the orphan who likes to remind people she works for Her Majesty's Police.
In that case, young man, I must ask you to amend your formal testimony in the interest of cordial national relations between Great Britain and Bohemia.
It was not next to the skies that exploded. It was a green balloon that was next to ours at the time. Huh?
Hold it!
Green balloon, you say? Are you sure about that? Of course I am sure. I am proud Bohemian British. All these questions are making me boring. I think you mean bored. Ah, English is very annoying. The language of my countrymen is far superior. Ragazzo, it is very wrong to lie. Lie? Flying balloons never explode. For the same reason, planets never explode. It is logical. Please tell me that doesn't mean logical. If you insult me, you insult all of Bohemia. Madai. Madai. I will have the army come and shoot all of your stupid balloons out of the sky. All of them. Oh lord, this is a... Here you are, your highness. If only all international incidents were so easily resolved. I hate this child. Now that the peaceful relations have been restored here in the courtroom, perhaps we could return to the testimony. Did you also see the moment that the cage materialized, Mr. Liu? No, I did not see explosion myself. However, that must be what this is then. Canvas, yeah. It's like a thing. Alright, well we know this is what the balloon was. So this child is somehow telling the truth about this balloon. Wait, there were only... Huh? But did that... Maybe that's not... Keep pressing this.
Hold it!
Did you see that actually happen? No, in reality I did not. I saw it after I hit the tower. There was a grand confusion there on the stage. I ran to see what had happened. And I was terrorized by the idea that one of my balloons had to crash. Those they are his livelihood. Good night, Blue. Take care. But when I looked up to the sky, all my precious balloons were still there. I saw it though. I saw it slam into the tower. After all, I'm a detective, didn't I? Then tell us what you saw, Inspector Lestrade. That's what I like to hear.
Hold it!
Was it you who gave the order to keep people away? Yeah. Use your head, Lotto. How could it have been me? I was up in a balloon, weren't I? Right. Suppose I weren't available. It was the boss who had to leg it over there. He's getting shoved and kicked all over by the panicking spectators as he tried to seal off the scene. It's a real sight to behold, I can tell you. Amazing. Poor Inspector Gregson. Oh, anyway, I couldn't see the cage that well because of all the smoke. And I really didn't want to see, to be honest. I was scared out of my wits. Keep it together, Inspector. Tiggs, how you doing? Thank you so much for the 23-month sub. I really appreciate it. And you.
Oh, hi.
How are you doing, bestie? The prosecution really is asserting that the demonstration was genuine. But what if it was actually some kind of switch-around trick instead? That would mean that the victim was never actually on the stage in the first place. The two explosions would have thrown everyone watching into a panic for sure. I think I need to find out more about what exactly people saw at the time. Ups and down, but you feel good right now? Well, that's good at least. I'm alright. I'm tired, but you know, that's cool. That's the usual. Wait, your balloons weren't damaged? But that contradicts... Let me press this again.
Hold it!
Yeah, I can't complain, honestly. School is stressful, though, I have to admit.
Objection!
Okay, this was right. Mr. Loon, in your testimony, you said that all 3 of the balloons you had operating at the time were undamaged. See, that is correct. If they had been caught in the explosiones, it would have been terrible. I wonder if you might know what this is. Ah, I think it may be. See, part of a balloon, a burnt piece of fabric of the envelope. Sorry, the envelope? Pardon, that is the larger round part of the balloon which becomes filled with the hot air. It is made from a very thick fabric aligned with a rubber. You do not want it to rip when you are in the sky. This is I thought. This piece of cloth was found near the experimentation stage. In other words, as Master Gotts testified, a green balloon did indeed explode that day. Eh? If all of the balloons in the sky above the experimentation stage belong to you, Mr. Loon, then your statement that they were undamaged clearly contradicts the evidence. No. Yeah, really.
Why did you not say so?
Maybe everyone on board was kidding. Took you 40 minutes? Damn.
Objection!
Was it like because it had never been established that the scrap was part of a balloon? The instantaneous kinesis did occur, but after the explosion on the stage. The point of materialization shifted to a location occupied by a balloon.
Forcing the balloon to explode, yes, eminently plausible.
Yeah, no, that is annoying actually, because it never you're kind of just supposed to extrapolate that, and like people who don't know anything about balloons might have a tough time with that. I think the green was supposed to be the hint. So technically you didn't actually... Oh, and not to mention, you needed the kid's testimony just to establish that a balloon burst, and then that like unclearly became part of the scrap's evidence. It is weird, yeah, that was strange. An unfortunate traffic accident, as it were, but it changes nothing about the pertinent facts. These I cannot accept. Why not, Mr. Loon? You are suggesting at the time a liar. That the person died in a balloon incidente. There's no need to get fired up, Mr. Loon. The victim was the sole fatality that day. Oh, because it was the new statement, right? And that Ace Attorney convention is the new statement is usually the wrong one. That's right, and I approve it. Balthazar Luna is not a liar. There was no such balloon in the sky. It is not possible. You're saying it's impossible? Why? This court has more important matters to discuss the number of balloons that were operating that day. Hey!
Objection!
But we can't ignore the fact that nobody appears to have known anything about this other balloon until now. My lord, the defense calls for further testimony from Mr. Loon.
I concur. There's clearly more to the truth here that meets the eye. It is imperative that we clear up the issue of this phantom balloon, I feel. Witness, you will give supplementary testimony about the balloons you were operating at the exhibition.
Ah, grazie, my lord. Already with the Allegro. As I said, Balthazar Loon is no liar. Every balloon I had in the sky landed safely. All the 3 of my balloons were carrying passengers. If they fell to the ground in an explosion, it would be a catastrophe. But you can't get away from the fact that a burnt up bit of cloth was found at the scene, can you? Coppers at the yard reckon there was probably some debris thrown from the explosion on stage. This stupid little ragazzo is mistaken. My balloons have the red and blue zigzag stripes anyway. Okay.
Your assertion is that the balloon this child saw was not one belonging to you.
See, exactamente. If he even saw a balloon in the first place. I do not like the sound of it. It is very bad for business. I have a good mind to sue the land of Bohemia. If you attack us, we will fight back. It will be war. A lot of war. Oh no, don't talk about war, kid. What happened to all-out war? Mr. Loon certainly doesn't appear to be lying. Is the origin story a balloon fight? But that doesn't change the fact that the testimony and evidence are contradictory here. If the defense is unable to find fault with the witness's statements, the court must consider them the truth. Think long and hard on that, my learned one. Situation has clearly changed now. I have to get to the bottom of what happened here, no matter what it takes. Alright. B-Loon. Dude. What is this? Ah, there's some sort of... Oh! Yeah. What's this? Is that a cross between a bow and a gun? It's a crossbow. Shit, dude. oh, Ryu. Okay, start pressing, I guess, because
Hold it!
you couldn't just have forgotten one, maybe? How do you forget a hot air balloon? Senor. I might not have noticed if I was given 100 lentils and one was missing. But we are talking about 3 enormous balloons. Do you really believe that I could make a mistake about something so grand and expensive? I took the liberty of having Inspector Greggs check this gentleman's warehouse. I have the report here. It clearly says a total of 3 balloons. It would appear no mistake has been made then. Really, Mr. Stride could have been sent for such a menial task. What, me? I'll tell you what I told the boss. East End kids like me can only count up to 2. Obviously that ain't true, but the boss said but the boss said he'd have a go himself in that case. Oh my god, really? God, this song gets better and better every time I hear it.
Hold it!
On that note, Sterling, tell me, what is it that keeps the balloons in the sky? Are you an idiot? Sorry? That is like asking why does a candle burn bright? It burns bright because it burns bright, and a balloon flies because it flies. What else? Well, that must be Italian for I don't know. There are 2 types of flying balloons, hot air balloons and gas balloons. Hot air balloons work on the principle of hot air being less dense than cold air, whereas gas balloons derive their lift from using a gas that is lighter than air. See, and my balloons are filled with a magic gas, I believe. Hydrogen, lighter than air, but highly explosive.
Good lord!
I do not permit the smoking of the cigarettes in any of my balloons. The magic of glass is not like a fire. Even a small spark of static electricity could cause the entire balloon to explode. What is the matter with you, signore? All that comes out of your mouth is esplosione. I tell you, my balloons are perfectly safe. They have to be, or I cannot be eaten. Magic gas, yeah, sounds awful. None of my balloons exploded at that day. I am completely sure. But if you say that is what happened, they must have shown me the proof. Alright, 3 balloons. I'm surprised to find the piece of fabric still at the scene, actually. Didn't you search the area surrounding the stage for clues? Nah, I'm not picking up stuff off the ground, me. All this works out way better diving into people's pockets instead. So much for the new career path. Mind you, the boss was on his hands and knees picking up all kinds of rubbish from the floor. Thing is though, the caveman crashed into the Crystal Tower, didn't it? That's where most of the investigating was going on. Even so, I would have thought that someone from Scotland Yard would have gathered up as evidence. Cor, listen to you. You stumble across a bit of balloon and suddenly you're the best investigator in the world. Pardon? Well, you ain't got a badge, have you? Like this one. I could arrest you with this if I wanted to. I wouldn't put it past her. Come to think of it, there was talk about some scorching going on the ground in a meeting we had about the investigation. Coppers at the yard reckoned it was probably some debris thrown from an explosion on the stage.
Hold it!
One day I'll remember not to read the green text in the voices. There's considerable damage to the stage and surrounding area, wasn't there? Yeah, some of the cools were watching the experiment, of course, caught the blast and injured. Good old job good job the old contraption didn't keel over, eh? I hadn't even considered that. It seems there was great panic after the incident occurred. Nevertheless, the police shouldn't have missed a torn piece of envelope from a balloon. Inspector Gregson can expect repercussions. Let me swipe in his old fish and chips, eh? Man's sole pleasure. None of this matters. That scrap of balloon envelope means nothing. Niente.
Hold it!
Tell me more about this ragazzo. You mean the color is wrong? Si, senor. I do not have any green balloons in my warehouse. And yet, a piece of green cloth was found at the scene, and unmistakably from a balloon. Well, I do not know how that can be. For the sake of argument, let's say that the green balloon did explode above the stage. You couldn't therefore conclude it happened on the day in question. Why not? There have been recreational balloon flights over Hyde Park operating from before the Great Exhibition. One could have exploded on some earlier date. Unfortunate, as I'm sure we would agree.
You believe it may have been from some earlier balloon accident that predates the exhibition?
Si, exactamente. As the signore says, it is not from one of my balloons.
Excuse me.
Oh boy. Here we go, kiddo. Is something wrong, Master Gott? It's Master Wilhelm Gottschalk Sigismund Ormstein. It was on the tip of my tongue. Yeah, something is very wrong. I know what I saw. There was a great balloon there. I swear it. I swear it all over Bohemia. You can speak as much as bad a language about as you like, but it changes nothing. If you do not have evidence, ragazzo, then I must tell your parents to punish you, eh? Perhaps we'll let the judge decide when it comes to punishment. Evidence? What is this evidence?
Give a simple example, young man. A photograph, for instance, some tangible proof of what you claim.
Well, why didn't you say so sooner? I have the photograph here.
Good gracious.
What? I have not been up in balloon for a little while, so I was very excited. I took lots and lots of photographs. Of the Crystal Tower, of the Bohemian exhibit, of the streets of London, of the hot eel cellar, the balloon, and the instantaneous kinesis experiment. Did you take a picture of that? Yeah, one picture. Really? You did take one? But all I wanted was a ride in balloon. I was not interested in boring experiments. Never mind that. Can you show us that photograph? Of course, and then you will see. You will see that I am not lying, that I really did see a green balloon. Well, I see you are all too shocked to speak.
Yes, I think shocked is indeed the word, young man.
Yeah, perhaps you cannot see that it was a green balloon from this photograph, but that is not my fault. That is the fault of the stupid person who made the camera. Wow. The accents! Cry harder, kid. I hate you. Cry with your little accent. See if I give a shit. That is one very bohemian sounding cry.
Very well, the court will accept this photograph as evidence.
It's not my fault. It's the fault of the person who made the camera.
Never mind, I'm sure you have plenty.
I'm sure you have plenty of wonderful sepia memories to take home with you. In any case, when exactly did you take that photograph? Well, it was on the day of the big explosion, you don't say. When I pressed the shutter release, there was this very loud bang. And the hot wind rushed over my face. That means this photograph was taken a split second before the explosion occurred. Well, if you ask me, this black and white photograph changes nothing. I could not give them a flying pig. Lovely language you picked up. Why were there no passengers? Maybe that's the angle I have to take.
Objection!
Wait, that is it, yeah. Unfortunately, the photograph Master Gods took can't tell us the color of the balloon, but it can tell us something else. Something crucially important. What? Because the picture balloon wasn't carrying any passengers.
Ah, my goodness, you're right. But surely all the balloons would have been carrying passengers. There would have been no sense in it otherwise.
So see, they are for a pleasure, for seeing at a view. My balloons only fly with the passengers. Which tells us that the picture balloon isn't one of them. So when the incident occurred that day, there was a fourth balloon in the skies above the experimentation station. The mysterious green balloon. I know nothing, niente. I can only tell you one thing. If this balloon was not carrying passengers, it was not one of mine. He's so funny looking with this like throbbing little head. There are illegal tradesmen everywhere you care to look. Clearly one such entrepreneur decided to capitalize on the opportunity presented by the Great Exhibition and managed to operate balloon flights on Mr. Loon's patch without him realizing. See, the competizione, they are trying to steal my profits. I did not even notice because of the experimento that went wrong on the stage. This fourth balloon exploded at the very moment Mr. Asman was beamed from the stage below. Right, so them scraps fell to the ground after and left them scorch marks. They didn't come from the stage at all. It was the bits of balloon raining down thing. Because no one was in it, it didn't get no attention. Mysterious fourth balloon carrying no passengers silently floating over the experimentation stage.
Objection!
This photograph shows us nothing more. A stray balloon carrying no one and operated by some rogue trader. Clearly it has nothing to do with the case.
Its relevance does elude me, I must say.
The court has seen sufficient evidence and heard ample testimony already. The prosecution calls for this trial to be concluded. Really? Have we really got to the truth yet? No, we can't let this opportunity slip away. The jurors' minds are made up, and not in our favor. What else can this photograph tell us? There's more.
Objection!
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, wait, please don't give your decisions yet. The photograph of Master Gods may well be hiding one more vital clue.
What's that?
A vital clue?
Objection!
Well past the point of mere possibilities. It's time for definitive now, so tell the court. What exactly does this alleged clue in the photograph? Eh? What is this? This must be the crossbow shot. We cannot reasonably assume that the pictured balloon was destroyed in the searing heat of the explosion.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was not my fault.
Evidently, because the birdcage and the kinesis machine materialized in the sky where it had been flying. And the balloon, being filled with flammable hydrogen, instantly and explosively ignited. No, that's not what happened. What?
It would appear that this photograph requires closer examination.
Okay, yes.
Take that!
The timing of this photograph can only be described as miraculous. If you look, you'll notice there's a bright white line that appears to point directly at the balloon. Most likely a ray of light caught incidentally on film.
I'm afraid I can see nothing of the sort.
If you look with a magnifying glass, however, it becomes clear what the nature of this bright line really is.
Goodness, what is that? Undeniably some flash of light, yes.
Oh golly, do you think it might be lightning?
But it couldn't have been a finer day.
I believe we may be looking at fire.
A wall of fire heading straight for the balloon like an arrow. Indeed, even to my aging eyes would appear to be a flame of some sort. My word, are you suggesting this flame struck the hydrogen gas that filled the balloon?
Objection!
That's absurd. The balloon would have been 60 feet above the ground at the time. No flame could have possibly reached such a height.
Objection!
Actually, it's my opinion that a particular piece of evidence found at the scene reveals how that is exactly what did happen. What evidence? Yeah, it's fire arrows, it has to be.
Present it, man.
Give me a chance, dude.
Take that!
This was found hidden at the foot of a small ornamental tree near the scene. Good lord, is that a crossbow? An arrow dipped in oil and set alight could have been shot from this weapon, sending a flaming arrow straight to the hydrogen-filled balloon. Are you suggesting that crossbow was used to deliberately... Blimey, you're right. That streak of light in the photo looks just like an arrow, doesn't it? Then, the explosion of the balloon, it was a... Very likely the result of a flaming arrow from this crossbow igniting the hydrogen gas within inside it. Oh!
Order, order! Council, this is an extraordinary supposition.
If the aim was to cause the balloon to explode, the shooter could have used a gun, of course. However, there's an obvious reason why that would have been out of the question.
The noise of the discharge, of course.
That's right, by using a crossbow, the projectile could be fired at the balloon, silently. Well, yeah, if someone had shot a gun off in the exhibition grounds, it would cause a real panic. But with the big explosion, there was a very big panic anyway, no? I don't like this. I'd be pleased to have found a plausible explanation for this, but something feels wrong.
Objection!
Do you understand the implications of what you're saying, my Nipponiese friend? If a flaming arrow did indeed hit the balloon, then obviously it would have exploded. And if the birdcage appeared from the cloud of smoke that ensued... Wait a minute, what are you really saying here? I don't get it. Was the birdcage beamed up in the sky after all, or what?
Goodness me.
Did the judge realize it, or am I... Now I understand. That's what that sinking feeling is about. Oh boy, please tell me, because I think there's a good chance the birdcage was actually concealed inside the balloon all along.
What? Did I just hear that correctly, Council?
There's no going back now. The horse has bolted. Let's assume, as I said, that the birdcage was hidden inside the green balloon from the start. On stage, when the experiment was started, the birdcage in the instantaneous kinesis machine disappeared in the cloud of smoke. At that moment, the flaming arrow was fired from the ground, causing the green balloon to explode and drawing the attention of the spectators to the sky above their heads. From amid the smoke, the hidden birdcage then appeared, to fall down and crash into the crystal tower. I think you'll all agree it's entirely plausible that what I've just described is the real truth behind the miraculous experiment carried out that day.
Good grief.
Objection!
This is ludicrous. What you've described is no science experiment. It's child's play, a contemptible display of stage magic. Both Mr. Sholmes and Iris said the experiment was a scientific impossibility, in which case, this is the only way to explain what happened that day.
And in any case, the victim's body was found inside the birdcage in the Crystal Tower.
If the instantaneous kinesis didn't take place, how do you explain that? I may put in a word, as a man of magic myself. Such apparent discrepancies can easily be explained by some simple deception. Juror number 3. All that would be needed is a doppelganger, someone who looked very similar to the victim, Mr. Aspen, and having this other man appear on stage to front the show as a body double. Yes, of course. So in fact, Mr. Aspen must have been inside the bird cage that was concealed inside the balloon right from the start.
Objection!
I was about to say, there's hydrogen there. That balloon would have been filled with hydrogen. Anything hidden inside it would have scattered to the four winds when it exploded. No one would ever have embarked on such a risky venture.
Not necessarily. The explosive force of the balloon gas would very much depend on the mixture ratio.
Juror number 4. Flying balloons are very rarely filled with pure hydrogen, but a mixture of other gases such as helium as well. Helium on its own doesn't explode, but by controlling the gas mixture ratio, the explosive force can be altered. Mixture ratio? Obviously, the victim's body would have suffered some burns. That would be unavoidable. But not to such an extent as to render this whole obscene charade impossible. Yeah, they're really... Wow, thank God for them. So everything that can happen can be explained logically and scientifically. The explosion that engulfed the stage at the start of this experiment was no accident. It's all part of an elaborate deception to make it appear that instantaneous kinesis had occurred.
Well, goodness me.
And if we accept this is what happened, it means that the victim, Mr. Asman, was never present on the public experimentation stage to begin with. In short, he couldn't have been killed by the defendant, who was on stage in full view the entire time.
Ah.
This will be very hard for the prosecution to counter. Lord Van Zieks can't credibly maintain that Professor Harebrained is the suspect now. Is it Hair? No, it's not Harebrained. He has a voice clip. Who is that? Oh, it is him.
Mr. Naruhodo, I appreciate your efforts. Thank you.
Professor?
But you can stop now. Just keep your mouth shut, please.
Sorry? What's this all about, Mr. Harebrained?
I, Albert Harebrained, hereby confess that it was me who stabbed Mr. Odie Asman. Yes, it was me, with my faithful friend and partner, Andrew the Screwdriver.
What? What are you doing? What is the fuck? What the fuck is going on here?
Order. Defendant, explain his sudden confession.
Objection!
Professor Harebrained, what are you talking about?
It's what I said all along. I must protect my hypothesis and my precious machine. You stand there and claim it was all a trick. It was an elaborate prank, but where was your proof? No, you'd have to examine the machine if you wanted to prove it, but then it would be all over. My beautiful hypothesis would be laid bare. I mean, the indignity of it.
It's clear that you drew the plans for the experiment, but you didn't actually build it. It's quite conceivable that you would do, Professor. If you'll just let me, I can prove. Yes.
I'll cooperate. I'll do whatever you say, I swear it. So please, ensure the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act is adhered to and protect my creation.
Oh, Lord, dude. Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hallowed chalice at this critical juncture. Here's to my learned Nipponese friend. What? And his upcoming attempt to clarify the defense's position in light of the accused's confession. Do you intend to formally assert that the experiment was nothing more than a conjuring trick? Because the moment you do, the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act that protects the professor's invention will cease to apply. The prosecution will then demand a rigorous examination of the machinery involved in order to establish the truth. However, if you acknowledge that the machine is genuine and instrumental in the victim's murder, any chance of investigating will be crushed, and the confidentiality of the professor's hypothesis preserved.
Well, counsel, what is the defense's official position on this matter?
What Professor Harebrained, my client, actually asked of me was to prove that the explosion on stage was an accident and protect the secrecy of his hypothesis. But there's no way to do that without implying the professor's guilt. Do I protect my client's life by asserting his innocence, or do I uphold my client's request but see him condemned? Either way, I can't avoid betraying his trust. You've been silent long enough. Isn't talking your trade, my learned friend? Or has all knowledge of English escaped your confused Nipponese mind?
Mr. Naruhodo!
There's no escape here. I have to make a choice. But it's an impossible one. I have to give up on something. What? Mensa asserts that the... I don't think this matters. No, I can't say it. My client, please. Okay. What must I give up on? It's not the question you have to ask yourself. It's what can I protect? What? No, this isn't real. This ain't real. This is some nonsense, right? This is a dream. Hello again, Mr. Naruhodo. It's been far too long. Susato-san. What are you... Okay, maybe it's real. Ah. My first Susato takedown in 6 months. There'll be time to talk later, Mr. Naruhodo. For now, we must concentrate on the task at hand. Which is working out not what I have to give up on, but what I can protect. This is a 1-2 Mia moment for sure. No way. It's so good to have her back. Professor Harebrained.
Yes?
Yesterday you told me that science is the pursuit of truth. Well, my job is to pursue the truth too.
Yes, of course.
And personally, I believe that you didn't stab Mr. Asman. I think you've come to realize something yourself too, haven't you? That your experiment and the machine you built with the victim are questionable. The truth behind that is what we both must pursue now. So, you finally opened your eyes. What? And as for you, Albert, you can't ignore this any longer. Having heard my learned friend's assertion, don't you have something to say?
Baroque.
Lord Van Zeeks. Gosh, I've never heard him speak that way before. In truth, there is one thing, something I've remembered that's of relevance. What?
On the day it happened, just before I began the experiment, I saw a man near the stage. A man holding that crossbow.
I beg your pardon.
Professor, did the man have any distinguishing features? What did he look like?
Taller than me, and thinner than me, with straight hair, straighter and whiter than mine. Let me see. One lens less than me too. A monocle, a rather stylish black monocle. And one thing in particular will help to positively identify the man. You see, I know him very well. After all, he's the engineer who built my invention.
What? He built the machine?
That's right. Mr. Asman introduced him to me a year ago. He's a man by the name of Enoch Drebber.
Enoch Drebber? Does the name mean something? Members of the jury seem flustered.
Not a name any scientist wishes to hear. The man's an abomination. Not a name any conjurer wishes to hear either. On earth is he?
I'm afraid this isn't the first tale of this nature that I've heard trying to show this connection with that name. There's talk of other flamboyant experiments that turn out to be nothing but stage trickery in the end. Obviously, this rascal is after the government's research grant money.
When musicians are in need of money, I have heard of them resorting to underhand tactics. No acquaintances of mine with experience of such things have mentioned Enoch Drebber's name before. The man is both an engineer and a musician. Yes, we're dealing with an unparalleled confidence trickster here. That's Enoch Drebber for you. Why is she back? I'm so happy, but like, how did...
So it's true then. My invention, my great machine, it was just a grand illusion.
Considering what we've just heard about Mr. Drebber's character, I'm sorry to say that sounds increasingly likely.
Even though no one else believed it, I wanted to. I wanted to believe that my machine would function exactly as my hypothesis predicted.
Which is why you were so opposed to it being investigated, I presume.
I knew that if the machine was examined in detail, its construction would give away my hypothesis. Obviously, I didn't want that to happen, but at the same time, I knew that if it was found to be nothing more than a trick, then a work of deception, then everything I'd worked towards, all my research, all my dreams, my whole life would be over. I was terrified at the prospect.
You really had no idea then, did you, about the true nature of the machine that was built and the true nature of Mr. Drebber?
I never questioned anything. I didn't want to question it.
It's entirely possible that Mr. Asman and Mr. Drebber were working together to use you as a means of fraudulently acquiring the research grant money.
When I announced my invention to the crowds that day, it was the finest moment in my career. I pulled all the levers and turned all the dials in exactly the way that the Drebber had described. When the smoke suddenly started billowing out, I panicked. I didn't know what was happening. But I really don't know how the whole illusion was made to work. I don't know anything more.
Oh, I feel kind of bad for him. Let me confirm one final point with you, Professor. Do you now consent to the prosecution submitting the necessary paperwork to release your investigation from the protection afforded by the Special Defense Dispensation for the Scientific Equipment Act?
Yes, please go ahead. I'm very sorry.
It would appear that we shall have to suspend proceedings for the remainder of the day now, Lord Van Zeeks.
My lord?
The court has newly been made aware of another party whose involvement in this matter is critical.
Yes, Mr. Drebber.
Other information about the man, if possible, I should like to observe the subpoena.
With pleasure, my lord.
Now, counsel for the defense.
Yes, my lord.
When we reconvene, I shall be looking for one thing and one thing alone from you. Evidence that the defendant is innocent of the crime for which he presently stands accused.
I understand.
Good. In that case, the court is adjourned until tomorrow morning.
Okay, so we can do this little after scene here, and then I'll end it. Old Bailey, defendant's antechamber.
Mr. Naruhodo,
Yes?
I'm so sorry. I was wrong. You were right. I tricked you. You trusted me. I dragged you into my mess. Oh, how did it ever come to this? I'm so sorry.
Did you really have no idea, Professor? About what Mr. Drebber was really up to, I mean? About what he was really constructing?
Naturally, that machine was the embodiment of my hypothesis, of all my hopes and dreams. I had complete faith in it.
Alright, in that case, I won't say any more. Now, sadly, the murder accusation against you still stands. We must do as much investigation as we can before the trial resumes tomorrow.
Well, thank you for doing so much for me.
I'm so sorry for arriving late this morning, Mr. Naruhodo. Arriving late? Didn't you receive my postcard? I wanted to let you know when I'd arrive. Postcard? What postcard? I hid it from you, Bruno, so it would be a surprise. Well, did it work? I was surprised, alright, especially when she threw me to the ground. Oh dear, I'm so sorry. I was just so happy to see you again that it sort of slipped out. Maybe we could stick to more traditional displays of emotion in the future. Susie's train was late into London Victoria this morning, you see. But we made the coachman really whip the horses hard so she didn't miss the whole trial. I was watching from the gallery for a while, but in the end, I'm afraid I couldn't contain myself. Well, I'm glad you didn't. Having you at my side in court gives me the strength I need to win. So, I'm delighted to see you back in London. Oh, you're too kind, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm delighted to be here. I'm so glad you're back. Oh my god. Pull yourself together, Twilight. Oh. I hope I can continue to be of service to you. Of course, so what's brought you back? Professor Mikotoba not proposed. Let's save all that conversation for when we're back at home, shall we? You know, I've made one of my most special blends ever for this special occasion. Oh, Iris, how wonderful. I can't wait. Stop. Stop. Suzato-san was back in London. It's hard to describe how happy that made me feel at the time, but despite my elation, our tale was about to take yet another extraordinary turn. Oh my god, it's so good to see her! No, this is so good. Jesus, I love this game. Oh my god, it really knows how to just throw you for a loop, take you for a ride, and grab you by the balls. Maybe not necessarily in that order, but it knows how to do that. And wow, what a great... This is fun. I was thinking though that the Great Departed Soul would be Suzato, but I didn't expect her to show up in the middle of court like that. But anyway, I think that's it from me. Yeah, that was super fun. Let me see. Can probably find somebody to raid right now. Let's do end of stream stuff while I'm looking for that. So, this has been super fun. You can catch... I probably will stream tomorrow, but it won't be this. I'll stream this again on Sunday. Yeah, Sunday. Else is, you know, that's pretty much the big thing, really. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. All right, it's fine. Shoot. Okay. God, ending streams is so hard. Why is it so hard? Full frontal Van Zeeks. I was thinking either that or vampire husband and witch wife. Who can we raid? Who we got? Can we just see. Why don't we raid Mayo? I think he's doing where is Mayo? Did Mayo just end? He was there a second ago. What happened? I literally just saw his username. Let me see. Let me make sure. Never mind. It's just gone. Okay. In that case, let's raid David. David's playing Resident Evil 6 right now. That'll be fun. As part of his Resident Evil month plus, because he didn't get through all the games in a month. So I'll send you over there to David. And that'll be fun. So I think we'll go with I think we'll just go with full frontal. Yeah, that sounds good. And we're gonna do /raid the Max Super Mario. Thank you everybody for stopping out. In the meantime, I guess I can do links. Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter and I will post a bunch of random nonsense. What happened to Mayo stream? Did it die or something? Well, I'm already at. I'll raid Mayo next time. Our streams overlap quite a bit usually, so spike and frame drops. Gotcha. Yeah, I'll raid Mayo next time then. Someone just remind me of you here. You can follow me on Twitter where I post stuff, and some of it's shit posting, some of it's stream updates. There's just a bunch of there's something for everybody probably, and nothing for everybody as well because my Twitter's a mess. You can follow me on Discord. We hang out, we talk about whatever, do crosswords together and stuff like that. Just fun. So you know, feel free to join and jump in the festivities. We'd love to have you. And finally, you can follow if you're looking for streamers to watch. You can check out twitch.tv/team/smiletime where you can see a bunch of different streamers that are all incredible, and there's usually someone live at any given moment, but you know, sometimes there's not. Anyway, thank you all so much for coming. I really appreciate it. I will see you tomorrow for something different, and then Sunday for the rest of this case. Catch you later. Bye.